Marvel Comics July 2022 solicitations are out, and it's time to dig in these, get real deep into it, talk about all the things that we can glean from these solicitations. First, we're going to talk about the X-Men problem. We've certainly covered that plenty here, but we're going to break down some of the numbers and why this is an enormous mistake for Marvel Comics. Then we're going to break down the rest of the numbers for Marvel Comics in July of 2022, talk about the Spider-Man releases, the #1 releases. How much is it going to cost you? Here's a hint. It's going to be a lot of money, especially if you like the X-Men. And then we're going to get into the full solicitation themselves. I will break down my lock of the month, the one comic book from Marvel that I can guarantee will be worth your money and your time invested in it. I can only guarantee one in the month. We'll see what that one is. Now, let's talk about this X-Men problem. We'll talk about the numbers first. In July, there are going to be 17 X-Men comics released. That is an enormous amount. In fact, that's 25% of every Marvel comic release will be X-Men related. Now, 25% might not be DC Comics Batman bad, but this is an enormous mistake because the current state of X-Men, quite frankly, sucks ass. We have this Avengers X-Men Eternals event Judgment Day coming out. Guess what's not tying into that? Any of the Avengers comics. And I don't think there's any Eternals coming out this month, but about 33% of the X-Men comics are also tying into Judgment Day. Wow, I bet that won't be a bloated mess. And when you look at what the X-Men office has done under Jordan White, the events that have come out, Age of X-Man, that was absolutely terrible. Brought a lot of those terrible writers over with him after the House of X Powers of 10 successful. That was the good event. We can blame that one mostly on Jonathan Hickman. I don't think Jordan White had anything to do with that, and he admitted. He said when he edits Jonathan Hickman's work, he essentially did nothing. And it showed because it was actually good. Then we jump forward. We got Ten of Swords, absolutely terrible. Hellfire Gala, equally terrible, maybe worse. And now a vast majority of all of Judgment Day is actually going to be happening in the X-Men comics. Are you kidding me? I don't know what Jordan White has on CB Cebulski for him to continue showing this much faith in him, but it is a fool's bet because nothing Jordan White has been in charge of so far as the leader of the X-Men office, as the group editor, has worked out. Every gamble pretty much has failed, other than Jonathan Hickman, and we're pretty sure that he was writing it solo on those, pretty much doing all of his own work. And let's not forget that Jonathan Hickman had a 3-year plan. He had a 3-year structure of what he wanted to do with X-Men, and he ejected early because he couldn't take any more of the horse shit dealing with Jordan White and the incompetence in the X-Men office. Yet these are the fools, these are the morons that are going to be pretty much front and center leading this Judgment Day event, which is a hard sell just to begin with. None of this stuff is working out so far. Why they did this event, I'm not really sure. If we get the extinction of the X-Men, I guess it'll be worth it. But putting so much emphasis on the X-Men in this event is a terrible mistake. We don't need 17 new X-Men comics in a single month. Maybe we should get that much in a quarter, and then maybe X-Men wouldn't be so diluted and so shitty right now. Marvel Comics has an enormous X-Men problem. We've been covering it for months. We've been covering it for a year and a half here on the channel. And it's not getting any better because now a lot of the X-Men titles are tying directly into Judgment Day. I guess that event is just going to suck balls. We know that's the case. Now let's talk about Marvel Comics by the numbers. A lot of interesting things coming out of there. Typically, Marvel does a lot more comics than DC, and specifically a lot more #1s. That has not changed in July of 2022. There will be 67 new comics total from Marvel in July. 10 of those will be #1 issues. That is a low number by Marvel standards. That is 15% of all new comics from Marvel will be #1 issues. So if you're a speculator and you got to have all those #1 issues just in case something exciting happens, that's going to cost you a total of $48 or an average of $4.88 per issue. Obviously, you are paying the premium for buying the #1 issues. If you're a Spider-Man fan, much easier on the wallet. Only 7 new comics coming out in the month. 10% of all new Marvel comics will be Spider-Man related. $29 in total, or $4.14 on average. Much easier on the wallet. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's even better. 7 new comics total, 10% of all new comics for a total of $28 or $4 on average per issue. So essentially, none of them are marked up. Now, as far as Axe Judgment Day, if you want to get in on the big event, the Avengers, X-Men, Eternals event, this is going to include some X-Men issues. As I said, about a third of them are tying into this event. 7 new comics total. 10% of all new comics from Marvel will be related to the Axe Judgment Day event for a total of $31 or $4.42 on average. Could be worse. If you were over at DC, it's going to cost you a little bit more. So they're not penalizing you quite as much at Marvel Comics. Those are the numbers that we have. Now let's get directly into these solicitations for the month. This normally takes a little while, about 25 to 30 minutes. This is a longer video, essentially the longest video we do here every single month. Pop you open a Snapple, maybe get you one of those fresh lemonades, hey, perhaps a Bud Light or a Miller Lite or something like that. Crack that bad boy open and let's get to these numbers and talk about all these comic books, the ones that are good, and we'll make fun of the ones that aren't so good. Starting out with Avengers 1 million BC #1, Jason Aaron, Kev Walker. Ought to look pretty hot, but this thing is going to read like shit. Jason Aaron's Avengers has been pretty much terrible for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. We've talked about this. This is where they're going to reveal the secret origin of Thor's mom being Phoenix. I'm not excited about this. I imagine you're not excited about this, but apparently Marvel thinks this is going to be a big deal. So we'll see if they're able to move a lot of these issues. I have my doubts. Axe Judgment Day #1 of 6. So the opening salvo of the event. Kieran Gillen, Valerio Schiti. The X-Men claim they're the planet's new gods. The Eternals know that position is already filled. The Avengers are about to realize exactly how many secrets their so-called friends have kept from them. Years of tension lead to a volcanic eruption as two worlds burst. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. $6 is a lot of money for a 40-page comic nobody really asked for, but that's what you're going to pay. You're going to pay a little bit of the premium because it's the big event that Marvel Comics are trying to shove down our throats. Obviously, I'll cover it here on the channel so you guys don't have to read it if you're not interested, and I'll tell you how bad it is because I have a feeling this isn't going to be so hot. Axe Judgment Day 2 of 6, Kieran Gillen, Valerio Schiti. As the world shakes, an unlikely group of heroes and less than heroes gather to find a peaceful solution. Wow, sounds like they're going to be sitting at the Quiet Council. I think I've seen enough of that. Axe, Death of the Mutants, Kieran Gillen, Guy Villanova. The mutants are deviants. Eternals are coded to correct excess deviation. The mutants are eternal Mars colonizers, ever spreading. Oh my goodness, they just called the mutants colonizers. Well, I do find that funny. I don't think it really sells me on the comic book, to be completely honest. Why are we doing spin-offs if all the X-Men comics are really going to be associated with it? Speaking of Immortal X-Men #5, this will be a tie-in to Axe Judgment Day. Kieran Gillen, once again, Michelle Bandini. Benet Duperry was born in the 12th century. Exodus marched forth with a sword in his hand and a shield in his heart to protect what he believes. It's now the 21st century, and I'm already bored. X-Men 13, also a Axe Judgment Day tie-in. Jerry Duggan, CF Via. The mutants are the next stage of evolution. Evolution depends on a mutation of genes, the genes of the offspring deviating from their progenitors. Some would call X genes excess deviation. X-Force 30, Ben Percy, Robert Gill. You can see the trade dress fully on that comic book. X-Force has taken some lumps, but a new era begins as old-school X-Forcer Wade Wilson makes his grand return. I thought that just happened in Wolverine that I just read that wasn't very good. Plus, find out why Kraven the Hunter is involved. Oh, God. Why would... No. X-Men Red #5. Excess deviation from Al Ewing and Stefano Caselli. This will look like the best issue of the bunch because it's got the best artist. No one who's not an Omega level mutant has ever taken one of the 9 seats of the Great Rig. Together, they are the greatest power Arakko has ever known, and it's 9 against 1. To my knowledge, they're the only power Arakko has ever known, at least on Mars. So I don't know if that really says much. Finally, we are out of the Axe Judgment Day bullshit, but we are into a new level bullshit. Fortnite X Marvel, Zero War 2, Christos Gage, Donald Mustard, Sergio Davila. The hunt for the Zero Shard leads Spider-Man and his allies to the outskirts of Wakanda. $5 for a comic book I'm not interested in. I'm going to take a skipperoonie on this one. Demon Wars, the Iron Samurai, #1 of 4, Peach Momoko. Finally, a comic book that I'm going to read and going to be very happy to read. Peach takes her version of the Marvel Universe to the next level by transporting readers to another dimension, one filled with wondrous creatures, sentient samurai armor, a winged individual in a falcon mask, a mysterious panther person, and a red snake-like monster with a deadly appetite. This is going to be fun. I definitely recommend you go read the Demon Day stuff if you missed it, and these are definitely worth your time. And the art is absolutely fantastic. Peach Momoko is more than a cover artist. She's actually really solid. She's a good writer, too. Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings #1, Jean Yang. Captain America, Symbol of Truth #3, Tochi Onyebuchi, RB Silva. Sam Wilson's hunt for the source of vibranium smuggling ring lands him in hot water with the one and only Dr. Doom. I got a tip for you, Sam Wilson. Go to Wakanda. That's probably where they are. Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty #2, Colin Kelly, Jackson Lanzig, Carmen Carnero. Steve Rogers follows a trail of coded breadcrumbs to Germany, where an elusive organization is making bold and deadly moves, while Bucky Barnes' own investigation leads him to High Roller's table at Madripoor. We haven't been visiting at Madripoor enough lately. That's the truth. Amazing Spider-Man #7, Zeb Wells, John Romita Jr., Norman Osborn is back, but what does he have planned for Spider-Man? One of the biggest Spidey status quo changes in years is here. Yes, because we're going to get this weird Spider-Man Green Goblin mashup armor. Don't think this is a good idea, but I still have faith in old Zeb Wells in putting out a good story. So I'm going to check it out, and I'm going to try and come in with an open mind. Amazing Spider-Man #8. Spider-Man has a new costume and accessories that look vaguely familiar. Is that a glider, as I just mentioned? Defenders Beyond #2, Al Ewing, Javier Rodriguez. I absolutely hate the team on this, but I like the Defenders, but I hate this Defenders. So I'll be taking a skip-a-rooney on that. Janice Vell, Captain Marvel #2, Peter David, Juan and Ramirez. The clock is ticking as Rick must find Janice before they both blink out of existence. Wait, who's that big face on the cover? Oh my goodness, is that Thanos? He got his ass kicked by Squirrel Girl. He presents no threat to anyone now. Daredevil #2, Chip Zdarsky, Marco Cicchetto, $6. I mean, I guess it's 56 pages, so they're giving a little extra here, but it's Daredevil $6.50. After Devil's Reign, everything it has ever meant to be Daredevil has changed thanks to Elektra and her newfound role as the woman without fear. Daredevil is more ambitious than ever, and a who's who of creators from across fabled characters' history, and some can't miss surprises along the way. This oversized epic kicks the next year. Oh, I don't know. That sentence didn't work right, but I'll be checking it out, I guess. Jane Foster and the Mighty Thor #2, Thornton Grunbeck. If it wasn't Jane Foster, I'd probably read it. I've heard good things about this writer, but you could put Robert Venditti on this book and I wouldn't read it because I just don't care. Iron Cat #2, Jed MacKay, Perez. I like Jed MacKay and like what he's been doing on Moon Knight. Not so much on Strange, but I didn't like his Black Cat. I thought it was just whatever. Miss Marvel and Wolverine #1, Jody Hauser. I feel bad for Jody Hauser. She seems like a really nice person. She's not like a great writer or anything, but she's better than a lot of the other writers at Marvel are really putting on high-profile books now. And she's stuck with like Miss Marvel and Wolverine. When she was at Valiant, she was stuck with the old, I don't know, what was she, Zephyr? The fat one. That fat hero. I feel bad for Jody Hauser. She probably deserved a better career than this. No one wants to read this, and no one's certainly paying $5 for this horse shit. Ant-Man 2 of 4, Al Ewing, Tom Riley. This is a comic book I am going to read. It's basically, I think, the 60th anniversary celebration of Ant-Man, and we're going to see Ant-Man through the years. I'm on board. Wild Cards, The Jarring of Cards, 2 of 4, Paul Cornell, Mike Hawthorne. Mike Hawthorne's art is normally pretty okay, but the last issues I saw him illustrate of those Wonder Woman comics at DC were so bad, you couldn't pay me to buy this one because the art will be terrible. And I don't think George R.'s really got it outside of Game of Thrones. And that was ruined by HBO anyway. Spider-Man 2099, Exodus Omega #1, Steve Orlando, $5. God. Marauders #5, Steve Orlando. Only $4, and it's still ridiculous. Exterminators 1 of 5, Leah Williams, $5. This thing is going to be garbage. Knights of X #4, Titty Howard, Bob Quinn. Why are they ruining Bob Quinn's art with terrible Titty Howard writing? With Arthur and his army on their heels, all but one of the Knights of X have made it to Mercator. Wah, wah. Legion of X #4, Cy Spurrier, Jan Bazuldia. The Skinjacker is once again out on the loose, body jumping at an outstanding pace and bringing the inhabitants of Krakoa to their breaking point as the pressure to hunt down Switch and the Iraqi fugitive god reaches an all-time high. Nightcrawler and Zen make discoveries about the case and themselves that could change the course of the investigation in unforeseeable ways. That is not a very good solicitation, but I am kind of rooting for Skinjacker because I'm rooting against the mutants of Krakoa. But Way of X by Cy Spurrier with Bob Quinn, which was fantastic, was really good. So I'm going to definitely check out Legion of X. It's one of the few X-Men comics I have books for. Gambit, 3 of 5, Chris Claremont, Sid Kotian. Thank you very much. The Problem, Gambit and Rowe have become a thorn in the side of Mogul Solars. The Solution, the mercenary Warhawk takes the fight to our heroes. The Rebuttal, Remy gears it up in his new suit. Marissa DeCastro dons the classic armor, and Rowe joins them for a knockdown, drag-out fight along the Mississippi. That's a much better solicitation, and it's Chris Claremont, so yes. X-Men 92, House of 92, number 4. Wolverine patch 5 of 5, Larry Hama, Andrea DeVito. S.H.I.E.L.D. makes landfall in Madripoor to put an end to the jungle warfare between Koy, Nemakov, and Kresinensis. But will even their Mandroid battlesuits be enough to quell the conflict? X-Men Legends number 3, Andy Nocenti, Javier Pena. Andy Nocenti returns to her co-creation with an all-new story set after the original Longshot miniseries. Longshot's adventures on Earth may be over, but before he can continue his mission, he's pulled into Mojo World for a multi-picture deal he simply can't refuse. This is going to be awesome. In fact, lock it up, folks. I'm going to call this one. This is going to be the one comic book Marvel produced in July of 2022 that no matter what, it's going to be worth your time and money. I have faith in Andy Nocenti returning to Mojo World and doing good stuff. There's not a whole lot of great stuff out there at Marvel. It was between this and Moon Knight, and I decided to go with Andy Nocenti. I have faith that this is going to be badass. Wolverine 23, Ben Percy, Adam Kubert. Wolverine and Deadpool have tracked Danger back to the X-Men's old home, the former Xavier School for the Gifted Youngsters. Man, that first issue with Deadpool sucked really bad. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. New Mutants 28, Vita Ayala and Rod Reese. Venom number 10, Al Ewing, Brian Hitch. So this must be a Eddie Brock story and not a Dylan Brock story. Torn across space and time through the symbiote hive, Eddie Brock's soul is pushed to its absolute limit. Manipulated and maligned by forces stronger than himself, Eddie has no choice but to watch in horror as his son Dylan and the Venom symbiote are stabbed in the heart by Bedlam. That is a good solicitation. Spider-Punk 4 of 5, Cody Ziegler, Justin Mason. I might continue reading this because it was literally a car wreck, and I don't know if I can look away. But this thing, I had some hopes for it. I don't think Spider-Punk should exist as a comic book itself. But Cody Ziegler did things with this comic book I didn't realize it could be this bad. It was Leah Williams, Vita Ayala, Jerry Duggan on X-Men bad. It was a real shit show. Spider-Gwen, Gwenverse number 5, Tim Seeley. Carnage number 5, Ram V, Francesco Mana. Carnage's crusade reaches an unprecedented level of destruction and threatens not just the here now, but everything that ever was or ever will be. That feels like a story with stakes that are too high for Carnage. Just saying it. Venom Lethal Protector number 5, David Michelini, Ivan Fiorelli. Eddie Brock has been pushed to his limit. Love of his life has found happiness with another. Eddie's fought supervillain after supervillain across the city as every superpowered criminal in town attempts to take the sinister symbiote's head. I'm loving these throwback issues. Obviously, we've covered a few of them already, you know, with the Wolverine patch and Gambit. Here we got Venom Lethal Protector. Loving these, love the alternative, and I will be reading it. Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 40, Saladin Ahmed. Somebody do something to save this character. What if Miles Morales number 5, Cody Ziegler, Paco Medina? What if I could ever read a comic book again by Cody Ziegler after Spider-Punk number 1? You know what I mean? Absolutely not. Thunderbolts 3 of 5, Jim Zub. Nah. The Variants 2 of 5, Gail Simone, Phil Noto. Double nah. Mech Strike Monster Hunters 2 of 5, Christos Gage, I'm a big fan of, but I think these mech weird stories with the superheroes are completely unnecessary and stupid. If you want to make a mech comic book, just go make some new fucking characters. Oh God, it's worse than I thought. It's Mech Spider-Gwen. We may have jumped the shark with fucking Spider-Gwen now, you know what I mean? Avengers 58, Jason Aaron, Javier Garrod, the comic book that cannot be read because it's so awful. Japan, the Edo period. They say he walks by night wielding a blade forged by Hellfire, and where he wanders, the penance flows like fountains of blood. He is the fabled Ghost Rider, Samurai of Vengeance. I think we've had enough Ghost Rider variants. In fact, I'm certain of it. Avengers Forever, number 8, Jason Aaron, Aaron Cooter. What a waste of Aaron Cooter's pretty decent art. Jason Aaron he does not have it unless he's doing like apparently Punisher and Conan. Otherwise, he ain't got it. New Fantastic Four number 3, Peter David, Alan Robinson. As I mentioned, another one of those 90s throwbacks. Chaos erupts in Sin City as Asmodeus' demonic influence spreads, and the new Fantastic Four are caught in the thick of it. Yeah, I'm going to check it out. Might as well. Punisher number 4, Jason Aaron, Jesus Saez, Paul Azucena. Frank Castle is determined to use Ninja Warriors of the Hand to end his war once and for all, but the world's newest and deadliest dealer in wildly powerful arms, the Apostles of War, are proving to be Punisher's toughest foes yet. I don't know, those guys from the first issue, he kind of mowed through them like a knife through butter. You know what I'm saying? You might have wanted to make them seem more powerful when you introduced the characters. Hulk number 9, Dottie Cates, Ryan Artley. Apparently there's a new arc called Hulk Planet. Never heard anything like that before in my life. Thoroughly shaken by his battle with Thor and Titan's impact on his friends, Bruce Banner decides that his best company is himself and only himself. As he sets Starship Hulk on a faraway course, he begins to reckon with what it means to be healthy. It encounters an alternative to isolation he never thought he dreamed of, but this alternative begs the question, who exactly is Monolith? Obviously, this will be a hot comic book. Put it on your pool if you're a Hulk fan. Otherwise, it will be sold out by all the speculators. I don't like Starship Hulk. I think it's a stupid concept. I'm not even really having a lot of fun with it. I know Drew loves it, but yours truly is off the Hulk bandwagon. I will read Banner of War, but after that, I'm done. Captain Carter number 5, Jamie McKelvey. Avengers of Moon Girl number 1, no. Moon Knight 13, Jed McKay, Federico Sabatini. This series has been awesome. I don't see any reason why I would jump off the bandwagon now. Like I said, this was up for the running for the lock of the month. The scars of Zodiac's attack linger with the faithful of the Midnight Mission, but that doesn't stop Moon Knight from picking an entirely new fight. A new arc begins as Moon Knight goes to war with the vampires of the structure, but he finds it a battle on two fronts, one on the midnight streets and the other within his own mind. Yeah, I'm going to read that. Thor 27, Dottie Cates, Salvador LaRocca. God, what a downgrade in art. Bring Michelle Banditti or whoever back. If you're not going to do Nick Clyde, who grade a bunch of fucking Trace Thor. Fantastic Four 46, Dan Slott, Kafu. I like Kafu's art. I'm glad that it's on here because this is a better comic than Iron Man, but Dan Slott's Fantastic Four just never did it for me. Savage Avengers number 3, David Pepos, Carlos Magno. It's going to take a lot of work to sell me on this series without Jerry Duggan. And I know you're going to say, Wes, you say Jerry Duggan's awful, but his Savage Avengers was good. I don't know why they changed the writer. It's not like Jerry Duggan is kicking ass and taking names on any other titles. His X-Men kind of sucks. Captain Marvel 40, Kelly Thompson. Iron Man 22, Christopher Cantwell. This is an absolute shit show. We've got to read this. Look how big this solicitation is. Fuck, it's almost a novel in itself. Tony Stark has worked hard to pull himself up by his iron bootstraps, and after a few detours, he finally tracks down his old friend and employee, Vic Martinelli, only to find he's arrived too late and Vic's been murdered. Before a guilt-ridden Tony can get a beat on why, he's attacked by Vic's assailant, the Titanium Man. In the battle, he learns the sinister plot goes deeper. The Titanium Man is working for those even more mysterious, and Vic was called because he's gotten possession of the Mandarin's rings. Tony flies overseas to Asia and headlong into a cloak of conspiracy, hell-bent on tracking down the rings of the most fearsome adversary. Desperate to stop them from falling into the wrong hands, but at what cost? What is Tony willing to sacrifice in order to stop the Mandarin's power returning, wielded by the hand of a new and possibly unsuspecting acolyte? Iron Man is about to go hard. He's about to buddy up with criminals, and he's about to go stealth. Wow, that was a lot of words for not being interesting. Black Panther number 8, John Ridley, Stefano Landini. This is like low-key really good title at Marvel. This has been one of the most consistent titles since it came out. It's not as good as Moon Knight, but it ain't that far behind. Like, this has been really quality. It's definitely a different take on Black Panther and specifically T'Challa, and I'm kind of liking it. Strange number 5, Jed McKay, Marcelo Ferreira. This has not been Jed McKay's finest hour. Let's just put it that way. Ghost Rider 6, Ben Percy, Brent Peoples. What happened to the Kev Walker art, man? This series has been good, so why do they keep doing this with the artists? Go! It's like, as soon as they get something right, they fuck it all up. But of course, why do we even need Wolverine in this thing? This Ghost Rider series has been kick-ass. Wolverine's a villain. Well, maybe that's why they're fighting. Maybe it's because Wolverine is a villain because he's associated with Krakoa. Predator #1, Ed Brisson, Kev Walker. Some of you may be like, well, apparently he was doing the #1 issue, but this thing was solicited like a year ago. This comic's probably been done for a very long time. We're finally getting it. I kind of like Ed Brisson, and I like Predator, so I'm going to read it. In the near future, a young girl sees her family slaughtered by the deadliest and most feared hunter in the universe, a predator. Years later, though her ship is barely holding together and food is running short, Theta won't stop stalking the spaceways until the Yacha monster who killed her family is dead, or is she? How many times are we going to have girls beat predators? You know what I mean? It seems so unlikely. We're nearing the end because we're at the Star Wars solicitation. Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, #3, Christopher Cantwell. Why'd they have to do it to my boy? You know, Obi-Wan Kenobi is a great character. He's never done anything to anyone at Marvel, and they saddle him with the shittiest writer that they have in-house. Star Wars The Mandalorian, Rodney Barnes, George Genti. I kind of like Rodney Barnes, specifically his Philadelphia stuff is really good, but this is going to give me a little bit of hate, but I think The Mandalorian kind of is average at best. I don't think it's that good. Star Wars 26, Charles Soule. The Rebel fleet is reunited at last in Leia Organa. Mon Mothma and the other Alliance leaders send a strong message to the galaxy that the resistance to Palpatine's rule remains as strong as ever. Well, that's not all that exciting. Star Wars Darth Vader 25, Greg Pak. Star Wars Han Solo and Chewbacca, Mark Guggenheim, Dave Messina. Is this thing ongoing now? I thought it was a miniseries. God, look at this character. Why do they all have to look the same? You know what I mean? It's just such a turnoff. Like, do something different. Do something unique with the fucking characters. God. Star Wars Bounty Hunters, #25, Ethan Sachs, Paolo Vianelli. If you're going to buy a Star Wars comic, buy this one, because most of them suck. Obviously, we shall see with the old Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I have a feeling that one's going to be really awful. This is pretty decent. Star Wars Dr. Aphra, Alyssa Wong. No, this is not decent. This is awful. That'll do it, folks. Those are your Marvel solicitations for July 2022. There's some winners in there. There are a lot of losers, specifically so much fucking X-Men. I don't know what it's going to take for Marvel Comics to admit they made this enormous mistake, but they need to do something about it. And doubling down and tripling down on this terrible version of X-Men under Jordan White is not the right choice, in this guy's opinion. I say stick with the 90s throwback issues, because those have all been amazing. Hopefully we get some more announcements soon. Aiden Nascente on X-Men Legends is going to be good. Moon Knight's been really solid. There are a couple of decent ongoing series out there, but Marvel's not in a great place either. It's not like I said Marvel's doing better than DC sales-wise, but as far as quality, it's not really so much. I imagine if you made it to this point in the video, you are a Marvel Comics fan, and you probably would like to read some good Marvel comics. It just so happened my good friend Eric Breed and I had a conversation maybe a year and a half, 2 years back, about the greatest Marvel comic stories ever told. If you haven't seen this video, there might be some stories you haven't read yet and you need to put on your bucket list. This is the good shit, people. This is what you want to read.